So here we go again. Most of the games run perfectly on your computer. However, some of them, Call of Duty games specifically, after a couple matches, crash with DirectX error. DirectX encountered an unrecoverable error. And it doesn't matter which game in the series in particular. Warzone crashes, Modern Warfare 2 crashes, Modern Warfare 3 crashes, BO6 crashes, Zombies crashes, and even though other games seem to work fine, some games also crash with similar DirectX errors, most notably Battlefield. I already did quite a few videos with proposed solutions how to fix this error, and I assume that you have already done all of that and the game still crashes. So I assume that you have already tried the following. Uninstalling Windows completely. That means deleting all partitions and reinstalling fresh from thumb drive. And also you tried to install a previous build of Windows, that is 23H2 instead of 24H2, which is the worst build of Windows in existence. You also tried uninstalling GPU drivers using special utilities like DDU and reinstalling them fresh, and you tried a previous version of drivers, for example from a couple months back. You tried uninstalling the game and deleting the COD player folder and reinstalling it. You tried updating BIOS. You tried updated chipset drivers. You tried undervolting your GPU. You tried removing all type of overclock, that includes your CPU and the memory, that means XMP profiles. And also you disabled any type of AI or automatic overclock in your motherboard settings. You also tried to underclock your GPU core and memory, especially for those models that have OC in their name, that means they are factory overclocked. So you tried to remove that overclock using utilities like MSI Afterburner. You removed all background apps, including those displaying overlays, such as Steam Overlay, Discord Overlay, MSI Afterburner Overlay, and Nvidia app. You tried reducing graphic settings in the game. You tried increasing page file to at least 8 GB, so you need at least 8 GB of virtual RAM, regardless of how much actual physical RAM you have. And also you tried disabling and uninstalling all type of antivirus software, including Windows Defender. So you tried all of that, and none of that helped. And the game still crashes with DirectX errors. One more thing you should try is to either enabling or disabling HAGS, which is short for Hardware Accelerated GPU Scheduler. I won't go into deep detail what HAGS is, however, it is required for any type of frame generation, for example DLSS in Nvidia cards and FSR in AMD cards. However, in many cases, having it enabled causes stutters and crashes in some scenarios. And for example, if you're using a VR headset, a streaming one like Oculus Quest or Pico, and you experience random frame drops, sometimes disabling HAGS completely resolves the issue. And also my personal opinion is, if your video card is rubbish and it has only 8 GB of RAM or less, and that is exactly what makes it rubbish, because borderline non-rubbish video card is 12 GB at least. So for those video cards with only 8 gigs of video RAM, you should disable HAGS. That's my personal opinion. Yes, DLSS won't work. However, it will run much more stable, especially if your processor is a bottleneck. So what you need to do on Nvidia GPUs is to go to Windows Graphics Settings, not Display Settings, but Graphics Settings. And in Advanced Graphics Settings, there is a special toggle which explicitly says Hardware Accelerated GPU Scheduling, and that should be on. Mind you that after each change, you need to restart the system. So whenever you toggle this on or off, you need to restart Windows. So in Windows 11, you will find this toggle in System Display Graphics. On Windows 10, you need to do one more click on Change Default Graphic Settings, and you will see a similar toggle there. But this is Nvidia. AMD and Intel Arc are a little bit different, as are the people who prefer AMD over Nvidia. They are a little bit special. That's what their motto says. Intel Arc is simple. Model A doesn't have it as of now. Intel claims that Model B has the support, however, the drivers don't deliver it, at least at the moment I'm making this video. AMD video cards up until 7000 series do not have this toggle. There was one beta driver, only one version, which added this toggle to Windows settings, however, that was the only version. Currently, only 7000 and 9000 AMD GPUs, and also some built-in AMD GPUs, that is integrated graphics in Ryzen processors, do have this toggle in Windows settings. Anything below that doesn't have it. That doesn't mean that AMD is not using hardware-accelerated GPU scheduling. They have been using it since at least the days of GCN, if you know what that means. Anyway, for Call of Duty, in most cases, enabling HAGS actually fixes these DirectX errors. And it also should fix it in your case. However, if it doesn't, you may try to do the opposite, actually disable it. Don't forget to reboot the PC after each toggle.
I'm the god of YouTube!
Like, subscribe, jingle bells.